How we doing, everybody, and welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Thursday. It's a good Thursday. It's a great Thursday. Yesterday, a little bit of snow on the ground, was frigid cold. Oh man, was that wind nasty yesterday in central Wisconsin. But hey, today, talking about getting back up into the 40s, possibly close to 50. It's ridiculous. I tell you, it's ridiculous. One day we go from it's about 5 degrees outside. Now the next day here, we're cranking out about 50 and I'm down to a t-shirt again. It's just ridiculous what goes on in the weather these days. But hey, with the weather warming up, that means sports heat up too, right? We're getting closer and closer to March. So today, got a lot to talk about college basketball-wise. Had a little bit of a breakdown yesterday, I did. And I want to go back into that a little bit there, see if it was an overreaction or not on the Badgers' sake. And also, Bucks got a big win. We're going to be talking about that here. Brewers, well, it's warm down in Arizona, but the Brewers aren't hot right now to start out the spring training schedule. But hey, we're going to talk about that game a little bit there, and we'll see where the day takes us. So right away, I just want to talk about the Bucks here because Bucks, as of late, won 3 in a row coming off that All-Star break. And this last matchup there with the Hornets, yes, the Hornets are a struggling team this season, but the Bucks completely dismantled the Hornets. This team was held to 26 points at the half, the Charlotte Hornets were. Well, the Bucks were rated up in the 50s. I mean, 26 points. To hold an NBA basketball team, I don't care who you are, to hold an NBA basketball team to 26 points is impressive. That is impressive in its own right. So hats off defensively to the Bucks there in that first half. Second half, the Hornets got a little bit going there, but I mean, you're looking at garbage time. You're looking at scrap time there. Bucks were already in a commanding lead. So, but hey, all the way around, impressive win, 123-85. The Bucks got the win there, their largest margin of victory this season here. In the game, like I said, it was out of hand early, so we didn't see a lot of Giannis. I mean, we did, but we didn't. 24 minutes from Giannis there, 25 from Dame. Beasley played 26. Giannis still had 24 points in those 24 minutes. That's ridiculous. This guy is third in most MVP voting rankings right now. Third. This guy, I mean, 24 minutes and he put up 24 points. That's a point a minute. That's your average right there. That's ridiculous. 24 points, and also to go along with it, 8 rebounds in this game. Almost a double-double. 7 for 8 from the free throw line. 1 for 1 from downtown. 8 for 13 from the floor. That's ridiculous numbers right there. And he's third in most categories right now. And we could go back into Giannis' stats, but Giannis is, I mean, out of all the years of Giannis, this is some of the best basketball we've watched from Giannis. Some of the most consistent basketball. He's finishing at the rim like point guards and shooting guards wish they could figure out. This guy is ridiculous right now. And yet, most charts, most voting have him at third right now. Most betting odds and everything like that, he's sitting in that third spot. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Not a fan of where they're what they think of him right now, because I think Giannis is playing very well. Dame in this game played well. 4 for 9 from downtown, 8 for 14 from the floor, 3 for 3 from the line. He had 23 points, 7 assists, 9 rebounds, all the way around. Great game out of Damian Lillard there. Both those guys in that starting lineup played great. And then you look at the bench there. Bobby Portis, 21 points for you, 2 for 4 from 3, 9 for 16 from the field in this game there. And Bobby also added 8 rebounds in there. A guy we've been waiting to see score a little bit, Gallinari, finally in 15 minutes of action, he got us 8 points, 2 for 4 from the floor, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, and 2 rebounds. Great to see. We wanted to see them get a guy to come in there in that front court and add some scoring depth. That's what they thought they got in Gallinari, so it's good to see him finally putting up some points when he gets some game action there. Pat Connaughton with 9 points in this one. A.J. Green added 8 points, 7 points for Pat Bev in this one. And Bieshkamp got 9 minutes and added 7 points for the Bucks in this one. Other than that, in this game, nothing else really to report. Thanasis did get in there for 12 minutes. I did see a stat that when he plays over 10 minutes, the Bucks do win. So we know Thanasis is the key to getting it done. Just kidding. Don't quote me on that. Just kidding. But Bucks in this game played well. and they're going to have another matchup with the Hornets. You got to reciprocate this performance. Do it again. Come tomorrow here, or tonight. I believe it's tonight here. Yes. Tonight, the Bucks will play the Hornets in Charlotte this time. Take care of that game against the Charlotte Hornets here at their place, because after that, you start this little bit of a gauntlet of a schedule the Bucks have coming up. They have the Hornets, then they play the Bulls. Then you have to take on the Clippers, Golden State, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Kings, the Sixers, the Phoenix Suns, Boston, and then the Brooklyn Nets. You have a rough schedule coming up there. A lot of West Coast action on this one. A lot of road games. You're going to go on the road there to take on the Warriors, then Lakers, then Clippers, then Kings. All out west there for road games. Then you come back home for 2 before you head to Boston for another matchup there. You got to be able to take some of these games here. All those teams, if they're not already in the playoff picture like the Clippers, you're going to face a team like the Warriors and Lakers who are in that play-in right now and are eyeing that spot to get back into the 1 through 6 ranking as of this point, or playing for their playoff lives. So all these teams are playing hard right now. It's going to be a test heading out on that West Coast. It's going to be good. I really think it's going to be good to see how the Bucks stack up against some of the better teams in the West. I mean, in the Clippers as of late. The Warriors have been playing good basketball as of late here. I mean, at one point, I believe they won like 9 of 10 or some 8 of 10, something like that. They were on a roll. So that's a dangerous team too. You don't want to mess with a team. It's Steph Curry. You don't want to mess with Steph, right? And going on this road trip, I think it's going to be really beneficial to this Bucks team to see kind of the measuring stick of where they're at. You're playing the bottom half of the West, but, we look at this Western Conference, a very good conference, top to bottom. There's a lot of good teams in there. It's going to be a measuring stick to see how far you are away from being able to handle a team in the West. Clippers are one of the better teams in that Western Conference. You already beat the Timberwolves, the best team in the Western Conference. You got a date with OKC. They're coming up after the Nets there. That'll be on March 24th, a little bit out now. But you do have a date against Oklahoma City. That's going to be a test because that's a top team in the West right there. So a lot of tests coming up here for the Bucks, and to see where they're at defensively and offensively heading into this one. Hopefully good things. Hopefully we see Chris Middleton come back here pretty soon. This Bucks team gets healthy. I think it's honestly surprising. As injury riddled, and I mean, you had a head coach change, you've had injuries left and right, and you're still sitting at 3rd in the conference right now. That's impressive. And we've talked about the Bucks and the ceiling and the floor. We've talked about everything in between, but I think we just got to take a step back and say, okay, we've had this team, we've seen this team at its low point, I believe, at its low point. Now we're starting to see this team under Doc come back a little bit. They're starting to show us there's a little bit left in the engine there, a little bit left to cook here. I can't wait to see what the Bucks do here the rest of the stretch, because as what we've seen of late here, I know they just played the Hornets and that doesn't count as much, but coming out of the All-Star break, this team offensively, hitting shots, defensively, defending very well. I mean, you look at this game, these last 3 games that the Bucks have had here, and they've held teams to 107 points or less. That's crazy when you look at an NBA standard as of this season here, because there's games that were 140s, 150s, and these Buck games right now are 112 to 107, 119 to 98. I know the 76ers are down Joel Embiid, but it's an NBA basketball team. And still to shut them down to that, impressive. That's impressive in its own right. So I've criticized, and everybody's criticized this Bucks team at one point in their own head or in their own right. I just think we've weathered the storm now. Now we just have to sit back and kind of watch this thing and see how it all unfolds. And, well, end of the day, pray for the best, right? That's all you can do. Pray for the best. See what happens after that. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be an exciting stretch run here for the Bucks, seeing them defensively, offensively, and when Chris Middleton comes back, how far this team can actually go. So Bucks will be in action again coming up tonight here. They will be at Charlotte for that one, a 6 o'clock tip there from Charlotte. So it should be a good game there. I believe it'll be on Bally for that game, but should be a good matchup there nonetheless for the Bucks going up against the Hornets there. But with that, I want to get out of the Bucks, stay with the Milwaukee trend there, and hop over to the Milwaukee Brewers, who, well, spring training's been rough. Let's just go with that so far. Spring training's been rough if you're looking for wins down there in Arizona. The Brewers lost this one to the Cubs. And man, does that hurt because I hate the Cubbies. 6-1 was the final in this one. The Cubs used a big sixth inning to take that 4. They had 4 runs in the sixth. That were the difference in this one. Wicks got the win for the Cubs. And Zastrin, we've tried to say this guy's name. We're just going to call him Zasser. Zass got the loss for the Brewers here. He was pitching inning there, had 1 hit given up and 1 earned run. 2 strikeouts, though. So not a bad outing by any means there, starting in this one. An inning pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts. Nothing bad. I mean, he had a walk in there, but nothing terrible. Looking at hitting for the Brewers in this one, Garrett Mitchell led off for the Brewers in center field. Played well, 2 hits in 3 at-bats. He had 1 strikeout in his other at-bat, so solid day from Garrett Mitchell. What we've wanted to see out of Mitchell. Get a little bit of consistency with that bat. A lot of base hits. I mean, that's what the lost art in the game of baseball is, just the simple single. You know, it seems like it's so far from what we want to see nowadays. We're more of I want to see the big hit. I want to see the home run. You know what? End of the day, if I got a runner in scoring position and I have a lineup of guys who can just lace me base hits, I'm good with it. I am. I really am. I'd rather have a bunch of guys who are going to consistently get on for me than a couple of guys who will, in every 10 at-bats, hit me a home run. I would rather have the consistent at-bats. And I think the Brewers are kind of trending in that direction right now with a lot of these rookies. So it's exciting. It is exciting in its own right there. William Contreras did start at catcher in this one. He had a hit there. He had an RBI early in this one. Jake Bauers also with a hit in this one. Would have had an RBI. Garrett Mitchell was thrown out trying to take home on that Jake Bauers base hit. Willie Adames also had a 1-for-3 day there. He started at shortstop. Jackson Churro did start in left, had an 0-for for the day. Christian Arroyo was the DH. He also had an 0-for. Blake Perkins, 0 for the day. Monasterio was 1-for-3 in this one, and Capara did go 1-for-3 for the Brewers in this one. So not much happening hitting-wise for the Brewers. They had, I believe it was 8 hits in this game. They were out hit by the Cubs 11-8 in this game here. But all the way around, it's spring, right? We just got to remember, we have to keep telling ourselves it's just spring. It's going to be okay. Everything's okay. The Brewers are fine, right? It's a cycle. It's a cycle. We have to believe, right? It's the start of the season. We got to believe. So Brewers will be fine. We haven't seen fireworks yet in spring training here, but I expect once we start seeing some of the mainstays in the Brewers' actual pitching, because right now a lot of this is coming from the minor league pitchers, bullpen guys, everything like that. They've struggled here in this early stretch of spring training games. Harold Chierno, he's got 4 earned runs. He pitched 2/3 of an inning in this game against the Cubs. 4 earned runs in there. Paredes had an earned run given up there, and then Zass had an earned run early. Other than that, you look, Trevor McGill, 1 inning pitched, 1 strikeout. J.P. Buckus had 3 strikeouts in his inning of work there, so efficient out of Buckus there. And other than that, I mean, not many guys for the Brewers, regulars for the Brewers, did pitch in this game. Just Miguel and Buckus were the main 2 that got in there. So nothing really to report on that end of it. So Brewers dropped to 1-4 in spring training right now. They are 0-3 at American Family Fields of Phoenix. So we got to fix that home record there. And I believe, nope, they traveled to the Rangers. They will be playing at the Rangers for this matchup here coming up. Surprise Stadium. That's an interest. Oh, it's in Surprise, Arizona. That is an interesting name for a city. Surprise, Arizona will be the site for the Brewers and Rangers matchup coming up today here. That'll be a 2:05 start for that game there. It looks like, injury report-wise, I don't expect to see Elvis Peguero or Aaron Ashby. Both still labeled as day-to-day. Not sure when these 2 are going to get back to action here. Looks like they have Peguero listed to come back February 29th. Maybe we see Peguero in this game. I wouldn't think so. And Aaron Ashby set for a March 1st return but I don't expect to see Aaron Ashby anytime soon. I did see that Yelich and Hoskins are both set to play this weekend for the Brewers, though. So good news, get some of the big boppers down there, right? Rhys Hoskins showing up, and well, Yelich is along with him. I'm just kidding. Brewer fans out there. We don't hate Yelich completely. I'm not a big Yelich fan, but I'm not going to say that I hate the guy completely. There's a signed baseball behind me that says that he is still on my wall right now. So it's okay. It is okay. He's an okay guy. But Yelich, Hoskins will be playing for the Brewers coming up this weekend here. So that's exciting news for the Brewers. I'm not sure on the timeline of Devin Williams as of right now when we might see Devin Williams. I wouldn't expect for a little bit yet. And along with Freddie Peralta, they're pitching in sim games. That's all we know. DL Hall, I know, pitched in a simulated game the other day. Aaron Ashby was in there. I believe they will get Freddie Peralta and Devin Williams into one of those at some point coming up soon here, though. And Wade Miley, I imagine, will jump into one of those simulated games at least here soon, and we will hear some more out of that. But Brewers, Rangers coming up today here, 2:05 start there. I don't know if this game will be on Bally Sports. I believe so. I want to say it's on Bally. It is not. They ruin everything. I know it. Baseball is ruining everything. I'm hoping that this new Amazon Prime deal goes through. I don't know why it's not on Bally. Bally can make money off of having the Brewers on there right now, but they decide not to. So we got to deal with that. So Brewers will not be on anything tomorrow. So I guess we just got to keep track on the MLB at Bat app. That'll keep us up to date on what's going on with the Brewers and Rangers. But with that, I want to move on here. I want to get to a couple of our sponsors here. First, your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Also, sports scenes, sports cards, and memorabilia. Stop in there in Marshfield, in the Marshfield Mall. Located right in the Marshfield Mall. You go past the Hobby Lobby there, get in the entrance right by the furniture store there, and they are located right next to them there. Stop in there and see Al, and he will help you find anything you need sports memorabilia-wise. If you're looking for jerseys, they have a wide variety of jerseys right now. You got to stop in and see them there. Also, they are having, coming up soon here, there will be a stock car show coming up there, provided by the Al there at Sports Scene, Saturday, March 30th. You can go down there to the Marshfield Mall, and you will be able to meet some of the drivers down there. You will get to see some of the stock car racers and lawnmower racers that will be there at on display there at the Marshfield Mall. So definitely get down there March 30th and check them out there. It will be, I'm not sure on times as of right now, but I'd imagine when the mall opens, those guys will be there. So check on the mall times and get down there to the store. It should be an awesome experience for you and your family. But also, another one of our sponsors here, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. But with that, moving on here, first and foremost, I want to get to a game that happened last night, and that was the Marquette Golden Eagles did pull off the win there against Providence, just pulling up the final in that one. Marquette did win that game 91-69. Cam Jones went for 17 points in that game. An impressive night from Cam Jones all the way around. We talked about it. We said it there a couple weeks ago. Cam Jones was going to be instrumental down the stretch here for Marquette, and he's coming up big for him as of late there. Other than that, Tyler Kolek had 12 points. Mitchell went for 12 points. Ross had 12, and Joplin had 13. Iguodaro only had 8, though, for Marquette. Big game. Big win for Marquette. They moved to 22-6 on the season. So impressive win there, winning in conference play for the Marquette Golden Eagles. But now we got to get to them. We got to get to the Badgers. Yesterday, I don't know. I said a lot, and I said a lot of things that told people I'm all about firing Greg Gard. Now, I don't know. I spent all day researching, listening, reading, understanding, looking up the stats, everything like that. And I thought to myself, okay, before we just jump on this train, like, let's fire this guy, let's get rid of him, let's think about this for a second, okay? Greg Gard has won Coach of the Year 2 times. People will argue that. Yes, he has. He took a team that when Bo Ryan left, that team was destined. They were at the bottom of a cliff. They were at the edge of a cliff just waiting to fall. And he brought that team back. Okay, yeah, he did. He did do that. He went to multiple Sweet 16s with that team. Okay. The only argument I have to that is those are Bo's guys. Okay, so now we got to see what Gard's guys do. When Gard gets his guys, not Bo's guys. I don't care about Bo's guys anymore. Bo's guys, the guys that Bo Ryan helped develop and built into a system were Bronson Canning, Nigel Hayes, Zach Showalter, Ethan Happ was in that group there, Vito Brown. That's their own group. That's Bo Ryan. So you have to look after that. You cannot. I get you want to include that into the Greg Gard era, but when I think of Greg Gard era in Madison, when I think of a guy's era in Madison, it's like Luke Fickell with Badgers. Do you count last season as a terrible season for Luke Fickell? Most people don't. Why is that? You're trying to turn over a program. You're trying to change a program, but you also don't have your guys for what you're trying to do. So you can't just say Greg Gard changed that group because I don't believe he did. I think Greg Gard just took over a team. They started to play well. You could ride that. Okay, and I'm not arguing with any people who want to argue against that. What I'm saying is that when I judge Greg Gard, I judge him after that year. The year of it would have been 2017. So we're going to start in 2018. Wisconsin roster. So we're looking at the guys that were on this team. You had Demetric Trice, Aleem Ford, Brevin Pritzel. I mean, you had Trevor Anderson on that team, Khalil Iverson, Ethan Happ, Kobe King was on that team, Brad Davidson, Nate Reavers. Not a bad team, but at this point, they were a young team, right? You had a bunch of sophomores, Nate Reavers, Brad Davidson, both sophomores coming into this season here. And then you look, Kobe King was a redshirt freshman. Ethan Happ was a redshirt senior at that point. Khalil Iverson was a senior. Looking up the line here, I just wanted to see once. Liam Ford was a sophomore, and so was Demetric Trice. And Brevin Pritzel was that redshirt junior. That team, you had pieces in there, right? I mean, they weren't like it was the worst team in the world. And when I see this team, I say to myself, okay, the development of this team throughout the year. What went wrong? What went right? And that's Greg Gard's first year with his guys. Okay, so you give them that kind of pass, I guess, for that year. That was the first year they didn't make the tournament, right? Year before that, they went to the Sweet 16, lost to Florida there on that. I mean, they lost 2 games in the Sweet 16 by close margins. Both games by a point there, back-to-back years with Bronson, with Nigel. Year after that, they missed the tournament, 2018. Okay, that's Greg Gard's first year with his guys. I really can't shoot that down right then. Okay, so that was the first year missing the tournament in a very long time. But we look past that. We look into that 2019 season. They lost to Oregon there. They got in as a 5 seed, one of the highest seeds they had been in a while. And they got in there, and they got the doors knocked off them. Oregon just blew them out, 72-54. First round, got knocked out. Okay. Next season after that, COVID year, we don't know. And this is what I need people to realize is that, okay, 2020, the Badgers were rolling as of late. They were playing very well down the stretch. I was a guy who at one point said I was all for it. I was all for Greg Gard. And I was saying, just imagine if that 2020 team got in the tournament, what they would have done. We'll never know. So that's a wash year. You can't even count that year. That's a wash year. 2021. They got into the tournament. They beat North Carolina. They got in there as a 9 seed. They beat North Carolina, the 8 seed. And then they played number 1 Baylor. Lost by 13. Okay. Year after that, you beat Colgate, and then you lost to a number 11 Iowa State. Chucky Hepburn got hurt. Okay, Chucky Hepburn got hurt. That's fine. Chucky Hepburn got hurt in that game. But you lost to a 11 seed there in the second. I mean, you didn't even make it to the second weekend there. You lost to Iowa State there by 5 without Chucky. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy to win without your starting point guard, but then it comes down to depth and having guys ready to be able to step into that position and being able to take over. And this is going to be far stretch, but look back to that 2014, if I'm not mistaken, when Bronson Koenig stepped in for Trayvon Jackson. I mean, and that year, did everybody in the nation just think that the Badgers weren't going to lose a step now that they just lost their starting point guard? No, everybody was like, oh boy, here we go. But they had that guy. They had somebody solid, because when it comes to March, the best thing you can have is good guard play. Good guard play, hustle, rebounding, shooting, right? End of the day, shooting. But when you get to March, defense wins games. Good guard play wins games. Bo Ryan was ready for it. It almost seems like when you look at the teams he's built, he almost is ready for that kind of thing. He understood when I get to that point. I don't know if you take postseason success out of the picture. Bo Ryan was a phenomenal coach. Greg Gard has coached well. I don't know. He's a fine. When he was an assistant coach, if you want to say he was a good recruiter, he was a good recruiter. He helped Bo. He recruited for Bo. I'm not saying Greg Gard isn't a good recruiter, but what helps bring guys to universities? Well, first off, the Badgers, and this is the problem with Wisconsin, and it always has been. Why can't Wisconsin get some of these higher end recruits? Well, our academic standards are really high. Okay, so you take that into account. But Bo built teams with that academic standard still in mind. You look back to the early 2000s, or not early, but the later 2000s there, getting closer to 2010. They had a season. If it wasn't for Steph Curry going completely off, that Badger team, I believe, was like 30-something and 4 on that season, 30-something and 5. They were ridiculously good. Marcus Landry and Orlando Tucker, they had years of those guys. But the standards didn't change. I mean, maybe. I guess I haven't kept up to date on that one. But the standards were still there. It's not like Wisconsin was getting the high-end recruits. But what was the difference? It wasn't Bo Ryan being there. Did guys want to? I believe at the end of the day, head coaching does influence what guys want to do, if they want to come to a university or not. And I believe Greg Gard is a likable guy. I'm not saying that Greg Gard is this unlikable, you're going to hate this guy if you go and play for him kind of dude. But, it leads to playing style too, right? I remember talking to Marcus Landry there, and I asked him, I said, why about playing styles and why guys don't go to Wisconsin. And he told me that. He said, guys look at the way Wisconsin plays basketball, and that's not going to translate or get them to the league. Tyler Harrell, he said he wanted nothing more than to wear a Wisconsin uniform and play in Wisconsin. Yet, Tyler Harrell leaves and he goes to Kentucky. Why? Kentucky is going to get him, it's going to get him more publicity. The offense is it transfers better to the NBA. And that's just it. That's just it. I mean, that's plain and simple. One of the biggest things. So Greg Gard, if the Badgers, and this is okay. I know I'm kind of going off in 50 different directions, so let's just bring it back to one thing here. Let's just say we, as Badger fans, we understand. We get it, right? We do. We understand. It's hard to recruit to Madison. It is. Simply because academic standards, nobody likes the cold, and publicity. It's not as big playing in Madison. It's not. It really isn't. Before Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker and them guys put the Badgers back on the map, you didn't get a lot of ESPN time. You got a lot of Big Ten Network time. Lately, we're getting a lot of Peacock time. But you didn't get a lot of ESPN time. A lot of NBA scouts. They'll find you, but playing in a slow, methodical offense isn't going to get you what you want to do. So Wisconsin will continue to lose out on some of these higher-end recruits. Okay, if we're going to accept that, which we have, then Wisconsin needs to do better on developing players. That's plain and simple. Because I understand the concept of it's hard to recruit to Madison. I get that. And I listened to a couple of other shows and everything like that, and they said people out there who can't understand Badger basketball and how it's been and how it's got to be and blah, 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 they're idiots and everything like that. Called basically everybody stupid. And, I mean, whatever. I get it. We get it. We understand, but it's just come to the point where I don't know if they're actually developing these guys, which makes you worried for the program's sake down the road. See, I watched a guy compare Bo Ryan to Greg Gard, and he went through the years of Bo, and he went through the years of Greg Gard and said, oh, look how close they are. They're not even different. No. See, I'm not the Badger fan who's going to get ticked off if the Badgers don't go to the national championship every single year. I'm not. I understand that you have the likes of teams like Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, UConn. This year you have Marquette, who's playing better as of late. Badgers did beat them, but they're better as of late. Auburn. I could keep going through a list of teams I don't think Wisconsin could beat. But I'm not going to be unrealistic and say that my expectation for this Badger team, or even the team from last year when they started the year 11-2, my expectations weren't, I want to make the tournament. I want to get into that tournament and I want to be able to win a game. I want to get to the second weekend. After that, I get it. You're going to start playing better teams. You're going to play teams that are hot. You're going to lose games. You're going to lose games in the crappiest of fashions. Iowa State, you lost that game because Chucky Hepburn got hurt and you didn't have a point guard. Okay, you lost that game. I'm fine. I was fine with that. Baylor, you lost to number 1 Baylor. I was fine with that. It's just that every single year, last year, this year, we've seen it in years past, these teams go through the slumps that you expect to see at the start of the year. Is it a confidence thing? Do these guys, when they walk into the locker room, do they feel confident that they can actually step out onto a basketball court and win a basketball game? Because as of late, ever since that Nebraska game, this team changed. They had a 19-point lead in that game. They blew it. But ever since then, this team has just fallen apart. This team is nowhere near the team we saw early on. Now, I'm not saying that I thought this team, when they moved up to the 6th best team in the country, they had them at number 6 in the AP poll. I'm not going to say that I thought they were the 6th best team in the country. I don't even think so. As of late, when they put the Badgers in the top 16 teams, the last time they did their top 16 teams in college basketball, I was the one who said, I don't even have them in there. They might be in my top 25 if they're lucky. I'm a realist when it comes to the Badgers. I believe this team isn't playing as good of basketball as what they can. And you might say, well, they just suck. There's a lot of people out there who think that this Badger team just downright sucks. I don't think they suck. That's the thing. I think Chucky Hepburn's a fine point guard. If you had to go through the Big Ten and you had to rank your point guards out, Chucky Hepburn's on that list near the top. Now, is he above Boo Buie? I don't know about that one. Is he above Terrence Shannon? I don't know about that one. But comparable, if you go attribute to attribute, he's high on the list. Now, you look at the rest of this team, though. Where's your scoring coming from right now? Where's your X factor, right? Every team's got an X factor. You get to March, you got to have an X factor. Where's the Badgers' X factor? Years past, they won games playing defense. Where did that go? We knew this team couldn't keep the high-octane offense that they were rolling with for months. So when it finally fell apart, we were like, well, where's the defense? Where's the defense coming from? I'm not worried about, you look at this Badger team as a whole. I'm not worried about their offense. It's the defense. You look at years past, defensively, Badgers, they played well. That's what Bo built this team to be. Defense, rebounding, free throws. You harp on it. That's the big thing. That's the main things in basketball, right? What happened to that? What happened to the slow, methodical offense that we were so used to seeing, but got the job done? You beat the lesser teams. Now we're the exact opposite. For some reason, when we play a good team, we play up to their standard. But when we play crap teams, we play down to their standards. Indiana was not a good team. Rutgers was not a good team. Michigan, not a good team. We played down to the standards of not so good teams. What happened? That's the biggest question. What has happened? And how can the Badgers fix it? Defensively, how can you fix it? I believe it starts in practice for these guys. But it starts in practice instilling confidence. Not just this crap that we see guys are joking around and messing around. Confidence. Confidence in the guy next to you. Confidence in the pick and roll that your point guard can get back to his matchup so we don't have odds and ends switches where a big ends up on a guard. Not those kind of switches where we have mismatches down in the post now. This Badger team has gotten so far away from what we used to see, and it's not built for that. That's the thing. You can try and make this team different. You can try and play up to the standards of, let's just say, a Kentucky or an Alabama, teams that like to play fast. You can try. This Badger team currently constructed is not for that. Tyler Wall works best when this offense is moving slow. So does Steven Crowl. Max Klesmit does too. Connor Essegian has to hunt for a shot. Chucky Hepburn, I don't believe that he plays his best basketball when he's got to speed it up, when he's got to move fast, when this Badgers offense has got to move quick. I don't think they play their best. They have to work an offense to find a good shot and shoot in rhythm to be able to hit it. AJ Storr can play fast, but he's not consistent enough to do it. Right now, the way this team is constructed and the way that it was recruited is that this is built for defense, slow, methodical offense, and that's what we've moved away from. So what does Greg Gard have to do to save his job in Madison? Well, you have 3 games left. You got to win 2 of 3. If you lose the game at Purdue, you lose the game at Purdue. But you can't lose to Illinois and Rutgers again. You can't lose to Rutgers again at home. You can't. Big Ten tournament, you got to win a game. You got to win a game at the Big Ten tournament. And NCAA tournament, you got to at least win one. You got to make it out of the first round. This team, I don't know. I'm not a bracketologist Tomorrow we're going to go through a little bit of bracketology, but I'm not a bracketologist, so I'm not going to predict or tell you. But can the Badgers drop as low as a 10 seed? 11, 12? If they lose these next three, if they don't get out of the Big Ten tournament with a win, if they if they lose 4 games now coming up here and they don't make it to 20 wins, they have a lot of, the thing with the Badgers that holds them up is the early season wins. That win against Virginia. Virginia's made them look better. Marquette. That win against Marquette. That boosts you way up. But do the bad losses outweigh the good wins? Because if let's just look at the college football committee. When they looked at Florida State, yeah, they had a quarterback get injured, but they looked at the play of Florida State late in that season, and they said, this team isn't good enough. So they didn't get into the top 4. I know it's only 4. Does the Badgers' late season problems weigh heavier than their early season success? That's a question that's going to be asked by the committee. And I really do think if Greg Gard is going to be retained here as the head coach, because we've seen it as of late, McIntosh isn't afraid to fire a head coach. I really do think he's got to win 2 of the last 3 games there in the regular season, and he's got to win a game in the Big Ten tournament. He's got to get at least to that next day in the Big Ten tournament. And I don't know. NCAA tournament, is McIntosh, it's going to come down to, is McIntosh okay with the Badgers being mediocre and not having, I count success for Wisconsin as a Sweet 16. I count success as a Sweet 16. If they make it any further than that, that's phenomenal. That's fantastic. But I count success as a Sweet 16. I really do. For a Badger team that, they've never been able to recruit as highly as what other teams have. Now, I'm not going to say that you can't develop players to be good. Frank Kaminsky got developed. Yes, he might have had it in him the whole time, but Frank got developed. Nobody can say he hasn't. So, Bo did well developing players to the next level. Can Greg Gard do that? Can he develop guys to advance their games to the next level here and succeed? That's the thing that's what holds me back with Greg Gard. That's my biggest problem with Gard. Yes, the in-game decisions sometimes tick me off. Yes, the play calling sometimes ticks me off. I will admit all of that. But I can live with that. The thing that irritates me the most is when I watch over the last 3-4 years, guys just not developing inside the program and getting getting better throughout the year. This team seems to regress throughout the year. You think of it like a halftime adjustment, right? You got to make adjustments. Badgers look good in the first half of the year. Teams make adjustments. You have to all season long. Are the Badgers not making adjustments? Did Nebraska really find the key to beating Wisconsin? I don't know. It's an interesting one. But right now, for the Badgers to get better and to right the ship, they got to get better defensively. They have to. These next couple days of practice have to be spent defensively getting better. Offensively, I'm not as worried. The offense is going to come and go. Your offense is always going to come and go. It doesn't matter if it's a good team or a bad team. UConn all the way down to a team like UC Irvine. Offense is going to come and go. Defense travels. Defense is always there. And right now, Wisconsin's defense isn't there. They have been playing bad. It has been like this all season long. It's just early on, you didn't notice it because the offense was rolling. Now, shots aren't falling. It's becoming a problem. And does this Badger team get better defensively or stay the same? Do they stay stagnant? Is it too late? Is it too late for the Badgers? I don't know. That's going to be a question that's got to be answered here. So, lots to think about. Lots to think about with the Badgers. Was it an overreaction saying we had to get rid of Gard? I don't know. I really don't, because I said this a couple weeks ago that I thought Greg Gard's seat was hot, and it's getting hotter game by game. He's got 3 games to figure it out, I believe. And if he doesn't, well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Badgers are on the hunt for a new head coach come next season here. So with that, that's about all I got for the day. Just wanted to get with the Badgers a little bit and just talk about the overreaction, talk it through a little bit more, and just try and come to an understanding for myself with what's going on in Madison right now. Also, I mean, Brewers in action today against the Rangers. Hopefully we see a Brewers win coming up here. Bucks in action tonight here, 6 o'clock game there against the Hornets. Should be a good one there. Hopefully another win, and they get it up to 4 in a row for the Bucks there. But like I said, tomorrow we got lots to talk about. We're going to stick with college basketball, give our top 16 in college basketball right now. Also the updated bracketology there and see where the day takes us. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.